people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Bob Arum said Tank Davis versus Vasyl Lomachenko talks could begin this week. Representatives of lightweight champions Gervonta Tank Davis and Vasyl Lomachenko plan to meet shortly to discuss the possibility of staging a unification bout in the late fall. Vasyl Lomachenko promoter Bob Arum told Boxing Scene on Monday.
Very good, powerful kid, good puncher, and he wasn't fighting a tomato can.
Arum said in assessing Davis's 8th-round knockout of contender Frank Martin in Saturday's main event of the 100th championship fight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
We're up for that fight. Lomachenko's up for that.
I think he's playing nice, praising Gervonta Davis and his opponent for the show that they put on Saturday because he's trying to make a fight with them.
Don't want to go rocking the boat.
If you want to say that Frank was a solid fighter, you can, but not so solid that you should have to pay pay-per-view to see him. Therein lies the dilemma, the problem, that Davis versus Martin wouldn't be so bad if it hadn't costed so much. And we'll see who actually paid to see the show and what the numbers actually look like. I'm expecting a far decline for Gervonta Davis's last numbers from his last fight before this past weekend. Arum said the meeting for Vasyl Lomachenko versus Tank Davis could easily take place this week because Davis's team is in Las Vegas and Top Rank has a Friday fight in Vegas with its WBO featherweight champion Rafael Espinoza set to meet Sergio Sanchez. Davis said after his victory that he's ready for any major opponent, particularly Lomachenko, who won the IBF lightweight belt in May by stopping former champion George Cambodia.
When we sit down, we will see if it's feasible. But Lomachenko would like to do that fight.
Gervonta Davis said after his victory that he's ready for any major opponent, particularly Vasyl Lomachenko. Yeah, now that he's lost 2 more fights and he's in his mid-30s, of course he's ready. But you know what else Gervonta said? He said he'd be willing to move up to fight Ryan Garcia or Isaac Cruz in a rematch. So there's that to consider.
Just because Bob Arum's being positive about all of this doesn't mean it's going to happen, doesn't mean it's a lock.
While Top Rank has the other 2 lightweight champions and unbeaten 3-division champion Shakur S. Stevenson and new WBO champion Dennis Berenchik, Arum says Davis, 29, is the best fit for Lomachenko, who is now 36.
Davis has established a position where he's good at the box office. A fight with Davis would produce more money than a fight with Shakur.
Well, the same is true in reverse in some ways. A fight with Vasyl Lomachenko would produce more money. I think it would produce more money than the fight that he just had with Frank Martin.
And Shakur?
Shakur Stevenson's multi-fight contract with Top Rank expires his following July 6th WBC title defense in New Jersey against Artem Haratunian. A Stevenson versus Berenchik unification later this year could set up a bout for undisputed supremacy, but that's provided all of this even happens.
I don't think Tank cares about undisputed.
Even if Gervonta were to, hypothetically, face Vasyl Lomachenko next, that doesn't guarantee he fights Shakur Stevenson. That's a different fight with a different fighter who's got a different style. Moreover, he's not a weathered veteran in his mid-30s.
Mid to late now. Vasyl Lomachenko's coming up on 37.
A Stevenson versus Berenchik unification later on this year could set up a bout for undisputed supremacy.
Everything's up in the air. There's lots of possibilities, and possibilities are good because they keep everyone busy.
The idea that this fight might finally happen later on this year is getting mixed reviews. Some people are positive about it. Some people are looking forward to it. I can't get over the fact that Gervonta has been avoiding this fighter since 2017. What's that, 6 or 7 years of avoiding this guy so that you can swoop in when he has a few more losses in the column than he is several years older, in his mid to late 30s, obviously slowing down. It's just a brazen act of cowardice to me.
Coward.
So what's working for Vasyl Lomachenko in the fight is his feet, his footwork, his angle of attack. It's quite unorthodox. His base style seems to be a hybrid of the boxer-puncher and the pressure fighter, as he has a boxer-puncher's boxing brain, but a pressure fighter's work rate.
He throws a lot of punches.
In tandem with his fancy feet and the angle of attack, that usually works for him, that he can throw punches in bunches from unconventional angles where the opponent doesn't see them and get mid-range to inside, do damage.
Well, his feet are working for him, but his work rate isn't. Because a counterpuncher, an economic counterpuncher, a strong one like Gervonta, he relies on his opponent to open up to get the punches in, to get the punches off.
Gervonta doesn't throw that many punches in a round. He's looking for a single shot to hurt the guy, then take him out. The more you open up, the more you give him an opportunity to do that.
So while Vasyl Lomachenko's fancy feet, pivots, and angle of attack may be working for him, his work rate isn't. Tack on that he may be slowing down.
Stylistically, this fight might end up looking like the Lopez fight because Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis both share the same base styles. There are slight differences in how they fight, you know. Gervonta's a southpaw, Lopez is an orthodox fighter, but it's the same underlying principle. They're waiting for that moment to get off a big shot.
They both are. They're both boxer punchers, counter punchers.
If Gervonta fights Loma later on this year, he will have waited about 6 or 7 years.
For Loma to slow down, so it's easier to catch him in between the shots.
Years ago, I would have favored Loma's volume and speed and movement to fluster Gervonta Davis to the point he doesn't know what to do. But many, many years later, after he's lost a step,
And he's slowed down, he can be caught. He can be knocked out.
north of lightweight, that's super lightweight, as it pertains to the ongoing situation involving Devin Haney and what is his mandatory challenger, Sandor Martin. Veteran boxing scribe Dan Raphael tweeted, I asked Top Rank's Carl Moretti about there being one bidder, just one bid, for Haney versus Martin, to which Carl Moretti responded, I understand why Matchroom didn't bid because Eddie told me he didn't like the fight. I understand why Devin Haney Promotions didn't bid, since they are quote-unquote a promoter as well.
What's that?
A jab at DHP Promotions, what is supposed to be Devin Haney's promotional outfit. Why didn't Devin just put in a bid for the fight? We'll get to that. Ariel Helwani tweeted, I asked Eddie Hearn why Matchroom decided against bidding against Haney versus Martin super lightweight title fight, which Top Rank won. Top Rank's winning bid was $2.4 million per Dan Raphael. Here's what Eddie Hearn said. We don't have a contract with Devin. It's not an appealing fight.
How many times, in how many live streams, or how many episodes of The Relay have you heard me say that?
It wasn't a fight that the Zone were motivated by or one that had any value, as in commercial value. Devin is a free agent and has his own promotional company.
Let them stake their own money on this thing.
For all the bleeding hearts playing Devin Haney the violin, expecting that Matchroom should have swooped in and saved him and bid in excess of $2.4 million for the show.
Who do you think is in the business of just giving money away with no chance of getting it back?
The days of DAZN overspending money to draw talent to their platform are over because they're established. They now understand the American market a lot better than they did when they debuted here, and they've learned from their mistakes, so they're not going to overspend.
Not for this fight, and not for a fighter that has no commitment to their platform.
Bill Haney told ESPN that he's not taking part in any negotiations for any fight, including this one, until Garcia's doping case is adjudicated and Haney's record is accordingly adjusted.
So they're still waiting on the New York State Athletic Commission to overturn the loss.
That's what Bill Haney is saying. Devin Haney is saying, I should have put a bid in myself.
Why didn't he?
Because Devin Haney's promotional company, DHP, is just a name with no financier, with no financial backing. Where the money comes from to do a top-ranked show is ESPN. Where the money comes from to do a Matchroom show is DAZN.
So where does the money to do a DHP show come from?
Devin's own pocket? Do you think he would stake $3 to $4 to $5 million of his own dollars from his own bank account on this show because he would lose it.
He knows that.
Not that that's how these things work, but he would have to because he doesn't have a deal with a broadcaster. He doesn't have a deal with an ESPN or with a DAZN. DHP Promotions is just the name. It doesn't represent a stable of fighters or a banner that fights on a particular platform. Like what I was telling you about GTD Promotions, you know, Gervonta Davis's quote-unquote promotional company, or Lions Only, what was supposed to be the Charlo Brothers' promotional company.
These are not promoters.
Real promoters, and these are not real promotional companies that have real deals with real broadcasters that give them an annual budget to do shows throughout the calendar year. What it really is, it's tantamount to giving a kid a play phone.
Pretend.
Maybe what it really represents is a tax write-off for the fighters or some kind of way for them to get a little bit more money than they would if they were just a fighter.
But they're not real promoters, and those are not real promotional companies, which is why Devin didn't make a play for the fight.
With whose money? He would have to use his own. And I know he doesn't want to gamble with that.
To potentially lose it on this.
The WBC belt is going to become vacant, right? And Sandor Martin v. someone is going to take place.
You really think Devin will vacate the
100%.
WBC?
He ain't going to fight Sandor Martin. Right, who's going to pay for that fight?
You don't think the WBC would go, do what you want to do, champ. We'll get 3% of whatever you're doing. And
No,
Sandor,
because
sorry,
they've already paid him.
Okay.
They had to pay Sandor Martin for this fight.
This fight being the Ryan Garcia fight, this was ahead of that fight.
Even then, Eddie knew the chances of Martin versus Haney happening were slim to nil.
WBC mandate or no WBC mandate?
You know, as a step aside.
Well,
And
but
sooner or
Devin's
later-
talked recently about undisputed at 140.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
if they can do a deal with Sandor and he'll retire and go and sit on a beach in Barcelona and just take step aside money, good luck to him. But I think Sandor will want to fight for the world title. So unless Devin boxes that off quickly, but you got to take a tiny payday for that. And I don't think Devin's about that, you know.
He was right. For Devin to go through with that thing, he's gonna have to take a haircut on the money, and it's looking more and more like he's not going to. Like, he may not fight Sandor Martin, and the title might go vacant, because he's gonna want in excess of $2.4 million. He used to get paid that by himself, more than that by himself, when he was contracted to Matchroom. But he's not anymore.
He's not a matchroom fighter. He's a free agent.
And the only promoter that made a play for Haney versus Martin is Sandor Martin's promoter. Devin himself didn't even make a play for that thing. So what is he gonna do? Who is he gonna fight?
This just in.
The WBC Board of Governors has voted in favor of the ruling to elevate interim champion Mario Barrios to full world champion after the WBC granted Terence Crawford the champion in recess status and will compete in a final elimination bout in the super welterweight division to then decide in which category he will continue. And we know where he'll continue. At junior middle.
And Mario Barrios?
Mario is a champion now, a full WBC champion, as I predicted, as I expected. And coincidentally, Devin Haney, he's got his ear to the street. He caught wind of this, and in so many words he tweeted,
Mauricio!
Devin might skip out on fighting Sandor Martin if he can get Mario Barrios in the ring, because it would be for the same alphabet title, just at a different weight, against a more sellable opponent in a more sellable fight in the United States, because Sandor is a Spaniard.
There isn't a huge Spaniard boxing scene here in the United States.
But there is a Mexican one, and as we all know, Mexican fight fans move the needle. Mario Barrios is a Mexican fighter. You could sooner sell that fight with Mario than you would with Sandor.
The question.
While Devin seems interested in fighting Mario Barrios, is there actually anything happening between the two teams? Is there a dialogue already established? And should we expect to see this fight next?
It's too soon to tell.
But that's what's going on.
Devin Haney may not fight Sandor Martin, and Bill Haney, his father, says that they're not going to be negotiating with anyone until the New York State Athletic Commission weighs in and adjudicates on Ryan Garcia's anti-doping case, and until Devin's loss is overturned as it pertains to that.
Per a tweet from Michael Benson via Lance Pugmire, the New York State Athletic Commission will hold a meeting to decide Ryan Garcia's fate before the end of this week, following his positive drug tests around the Devin Haney fight.
It's Tuesday.
So when should we expect them to rule? Before the week is out. That leaves Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 3 days.
Do we expect that the punishment will be a harsh punishment? And how many people out there are holding out hope that given how Ryan Garcia has been carrying on and what he's been doing, how he's behaving, that they throw the book at him, that if they can, they will.
I mean, I don't think it was a case of cross-contamination. I think he cheated. He deliberately cheated, like he deliberately missed the weight by 3 pounds. It all makes sense.
He tried to blame it on NutriBio. The NutriBio covered their own ass, conducted their own investigation, and none of their containers on their end of that same lot number tested positive for Osterin, so that kind of killed Ryan's credibility, at least when it came to that. Comes to this.
Veteran strength and conditioning coach Memo Heredia stated, Ryan's punishment coming extremely hard, and you will see on Friday. I've been cynical. I've been jaded. I never expected the New York State Athletic Commission to do very much. I expected that Ryan would get a slap on the wrist, a 6-month suspension, which is almost no suspension at all, given that the amount of time in between one fight to the next for a boxer today is about 6 to 12 months.
So if they suspend you for 6 months, it's like you weren't suspended at all.
Memo says, based on what he knows and what he's hearing, that they're going to go after Ryan. The punishment will be harsh, but what constitutes a harsh punishment in this situation?
If they hand him one?
More than 6 months. Call it a year. A full year. Maybe 2.
If we're talking about a harsh punishment.
So any of the major commissions in the United States, and that's the New York State Athletic Commission, the California State Athletic Commission, or the Nevada State Athletic Commission, if they hand down a punishment to a boxer, it has a trickle-down effect to where he won't be able to get a license anywhere in the country. That might carry over to another country, like, say, the United Kingdom.
The same is not true in reverse.
Just because they suspend you in the UK doesn't mean you'll be suspended in America, but if you're suspended in America, there's a good chance you will also be suspended in the UK.
Not that I'm expecting Ryan to fight there.
Because I'm not, though entertaining a scenario where a punishment is issued out and it's a harsh punishment, like a full 12-month suspension or a full 2-year suspension, that would greatly impede any progress Ryan has made in his career so far.
So many who rushed to his defense, asserting his innocence. Well, I know that they don't give out harsh punishments to innocent fighters or fighters who proved they were innocent.
Without saying that he is or isn't here and now, if by the time this week ends, he's issued a harsh punishment, it can't be because of how innocent he is or how much he proved it.
Say they suspend him for 2 years. What does he do?
I don't know. He'll have more time to make TikTok videos. Maybe he can open up an OnlyFans. Maybe his loyal followers will follow him there.
Do you think that's why he's been getting carried away and flying off the handle? All the stuff with Caleb Plant and Jordan Plant?
Because he suspects that they're not going to have mercy on him. They're going to come after him. They're going to make an example out of him, given the profile of all of this.
That he's a well-known boxer, everybody knows what's going on, and the New York State Athletic Commission cannot appear impotent.
They got to lay down the law and make an example out of him, irrespective of his profile and his social media following.
It's possible.
In previous years, especially in the American boxing scene, there seems to have been a revolving door policy when it comes to fighters who test positive for banned substances. The punishments have never been all that harsh.
If they nail Ryan to the wall,
throw the book at him and make an example out of him, that will herald change, significant change, to how these situations are handled.
And how they have been.
No bold proclamations from me. I'm taking a wait-and-see approach. Wait and see what the New York State Athletic Commission decides to do.
But Memo says they're gonna go after him.